What is up, my YouTube friends? It is Trevor coming at you from Wichita, Kansas, in the Tesla on the FSD mode. And I want to talk to you guys yet again about Mstr stock and Bitcoin, a little bit about Metaplanet, right? So we got a lot to discuss in this video. A lot of stuff happened in the past 24 hours. Abu Dhabi came out and said they bought a bunch of Bitcoin. Metaplanet came out with a bunch of They came out with two different preferred stock options, which is the first time we've ever seen something like that come out of Japan. As well as we've seen some stuff come out from like Dave Portnoy and other whales about how they're buying the Bitcoin dip massively. So before I get into it, definitely consider subscribing to the channel. We talk about this stuff, breaking news about Bitcoin, MSTR stock, AI and robotics, every single day. I try to bring you the breaking news, anything that's new in the past 24 hours, 48 hours. Try to let you guys know here. So yeah, definitely consider subscribing. If you don't mind, also please like the video so it can get pushed to more people. And also let me know what your Bitcoin price target is by the end of the year. Okay, so now that we're through that, let's talk about the Abu Dhabi purchase, right? So Abu Dhabi, there's a very large investment firm out of Abu Dhabi who came out and said yesterday that they have increased their position in IBIT, which is the BlackRock ETF, the BlackRock Bitcoin ETF, and they've increased their position by like threefold to the point where they hold almost $500 million. I think it's actually over $500 million. I think it's like 585 million or something like that in IBIT, and that was actually at a lot higher prices than we're currently seeing. They added that during Q3, they didn't give the exact price point that I could see as to when they bought the IBIT shares, but it looks like they were, in the, the higher ranges, like the 110s, 120s, and we're seeing, around 91K as of me making this video today, for Bitcoin price. So it just goes to show you, like we're seeing a lot of, gigantic institutions continue to buy in, which is the whole reason IBIT exists in the first place, right? Because these institutions can't necessarily go out and buy Bitcoin on behalf of their individual shareholders. Instead, they have to go and buy these ETFs, which, yeah, is just bullish for Bitcoin. It's bullish for MicroStrategy and Metaplanet and every other company, American Bitcoin Treasury Company, every, Bitcoin company there is, So yeah, so that's that. The second, this is pretty big news actually. We've been waiting for Metaplanet, the MicroStrategy of Asia, as they call it, to issue some preferred shares, right? Some preferred stocks, to where they can raise additional money, essentially by paying a dividend to people that purchase the preferred stock, to be able to go buy more Bitcoin. Now, Metaplanet, like I said, this is pretty revolutionary for the Japanese market and for Asia in general. We haven't seen anything like this happen before. So they came out with Mercury, and I believe Mercury goes, like basically people can go out and buy Mercury sometime in early December. So you can't actually go buy it right now, I don't believe. And basically what Mercury does is it gives a 5% annual dividend yield, and it's convertible actually to when Metaplanet is 1,000 yen, right? So nowhere near 1,000 yen yet, but basically, if you want to convert Mercury to Metaplanet shares, you're gonna have to essentially wait a while, right? But yeah, no, that's a big deal. And they also came out and said they have another preferred stock in the works called Mars. It looks like their trend is going to be, planets, right? Is how they're going to, basically name their preferred stocks, which is, I think it's kind of cool. As an aerospace engineer, I think it's kind of cool. It also kind of goes along with the Metaplanet name, so it's kind of, it's cute. But anyway, Mars, it looks like it's going to be an adjustable dividend rate paid monthly. So, they didn't give a lot of information about it, but it seems to me like Mars is going to be similar to Stretch for MicroStrategy, and that Mercury is basically similar to Strike. So yeah, those are, it's a big deal. We'll see how many more preferred stocks they can issue. And right now, Metaplanet stock, the MTPLF, the stock that people in the U.S. can buy that trades on the OTC, it's really, really low. It's around like 220 or something like that. It's really quite low. to where if you haven't taken a flyer on Metaplanet, I think the downside risk is very minimal. It's similar to MicroStrategy, where they've both just gotten hammered on this Bitcoin drawdown. I think there's a lot of opportunity in those stocks, and at the bottom, just a personal opinion from me, humble guy on YouTube, right? That is my opinion. So that's where I'm at. I think that Bitcoin is essentially bottomed out. JP Morgan also thinks that. If it goes down further, don't sue me, bro, because I'm just some guy on YouTube, right? So, but I don't see it going down a lot. But yeah, so you got the preferred shares from Metaplanet. And then finally, I wanted to talk to you guys about something that could be the biggest deal of all. Like, by far the biggest deal of all. So if you ask ChatGPT or any other AI, if you do your research on this, about the recent drawdown in Bitcoin price, right? So now we've seen Bitcoin down to what is it, like 91K? Essentially what they're saying, is basically that a lot of retail investors are selling, right? So you're getting a lot of margin calls and all the retail, but then all the whales, the amount of purchases of 1,000 Bitcoin or more right now is higher than the past 4 months, which, what do you know? That kind of makes sense, right? The whales are like the sharks of the sea, right? Like they're going to buy when everyone else is scared. They're going to buy when there's blood in the streets. That's how they got to how wealthy they are in the first place, is that they were able to either time the market well, or they were able to have long-term holding conviction, right? It's just one of those two things. There's no other way to make a lot of money on Bitcoin. It's either you timed it and you got in low and you sold high, or you held it for a long time and you saw appreciable gains, right? So basically what I'm saying is there's been a lot of people selling IBIT, the BlackRock ETF, but like I said, it's been in small increments. It's been a lot of IBIT that's been sold, but there's been very few transactions that were over 1,000 Bitcoin. The 1,000 plus Bitcoin are being bought right now. That quantity of Bitcoin is being bought and not sold on an individual basis. So that's, in my personal humble opinion, extremely, extremely bullish for Bitcoin, right? And that's very important to note. Dave Portnoy, I don't know if you guys know him, but he is the Barstool Sports guy. He came out yesterday, posted on X that he bought $2 million worth of crypto. I believe most of that was Bitcoin. He also got into some XRP and some other things too, but he bought the crypto dip, right? And then Eric Trump basically reposted that and said that it was a smart trade. All right, so you guys can tell on this channel that I talk about Eric Trump a lot, right? The reason why I talk about the Trump family, Donald Trump and Eric Trump, so much, it's not that I want this to be a political channel. That's not what I want. What I want is for people to understand that these people, the JP Morgans, the Jamie Dimons, the Citibanks, the Eric Trumps, the Donald Trumps, they're all essentially in cahoots. They all know what's going to happen, right? They can see the wall and they can see the writing on it, right? The writing is on the wall, in my personal humble opinion, from a guy on YouTube. Okay? The Bitcoin Act. If you guys have not looked into the Bitcoin Act, right, I strongly challenge all of you watching this video to go look into the Bitcoin Act, right? It's being pushed by not only Donald Trump himself, but also some people in Congress, right, to essentially expand on just having a Bitcoin strategic reserve, to expand on that further to where the United States of America actually acquires 1 million Bitcoin and puts it on their balance sheet in a way that does not burden taxpayers, right? So using ways, essentially like net neutral is what they've come out and said. Net neutral ways for essentially the United States of America to acquire 1 million Bitcoin, right? And essentially in increments of tranches of 200,000 Bitcoin per year, right? And if you look into the whole thing, it's like, you wouldn't be able to, the U.S. wouldn't be able to sell these Bitcoin for 20 years. Even if they made like a quick, gain on the Bitcoin itself, doesn't matter. You're not gonna be able to sell them for like short-term revenue, right? The whole idea is establish the Bitcoin reserve, acquire more Bitcoin, and then hold it for at least 20 years before you can sell anything, right? So what I'm telling you guys is that if this goes through, right, it's, to be fair, Like, it's been sitting since March of this year, right? In the Senate and in the House, with committees reviewing it heavily. Let's just put it that way, right? But if that were to go through, right, and I'll make further videos on this more. So if you are interested in the Bitcoin Act, which I think most people that are investors should be interested in it, definitely consider subscribing to the channel, because I will be giving you a lot of news, a lot of coverage on the Bitcoin Act, right? If that goes through, where the U.S. comes out and says they're going to acquire 1 million Bitcoin, they already have like something like over 300,000 Bitcoin. But if they acquire 1 million more Bitcoin over the next 5 years, I mean, the game's over, right? The writing on the wall is solidified in Sharpie. In Sharpie, paint, permanent marker, right? We're going to see a ridiculous increase in price in Bitcoin. And that means every Bitcoin treasury company, every crypto treasury company for that matter, Ethereum, Solana, everything is going to go to the moon. And we are going to see one of the craziest times in the markets we've ever seen in our entire life. That's my contention, right? I'm just some humble guy on YouTube. And, nothing's certain as to whether the Bitcoin Act will be approved, whether the USA will actually acquire 1 million Bitcoin over the next 5 years or not. But if they do, the whole game changes, right? And that's why I think it's important. This is why a lot of people, like a lot of investment firms, are saying, hey, you should have at least 1-2%-ish of your portfolio at the minimum in Bitcoin, right? Because there's so many bullish catalysts for Bitcoin, right? And it's like, if you believe in Bitcoin, it's impossible not to believe in MicroStrategy, who is, leveraged Bitcoin, and same thing with Metaplanet. Or, if you believe in Bitcoin, it's hard not to also somewhat believe in Ethereum. They're kind of different, but they're similar, right? So like Bitmine is also out there, right? There's as a, Ethereum treasury company. So it's like, guys, that's what I want to bring to your attention today, is that there's so many bullish catalysts, and that I think personally, like I said, MicroStrategy is just what they've done with acquiring almost 650,000 Bitcoin hasn't ever been done before by another publicly traded company, or any company for that matter. And I'm not a financial advisor, don't sue me, bro, but I think it's an incredible investment, especially under $200 per share for MicroStrategy. So guys, thank you for watching. Please consider subscribing if you're interested in anything that I talked about in this video. And please debate me in the comments. Let me know anything that you want to say about this video in the comments. Let me know below. And with that, guys, have a great day.